Back to the Right Future YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about the Biden classified document scandal. So we'll go through a timeline really quickly and then we'll break them down individually. So the first thing that happens November 2nd, which is 6 days before the midterms. The midterms are November 8th. This is a key distinction. I will be accentuating this later. President Biden's attorney finds classified documents at his private office, his personal partisan think tank that he set up after he left the VP's office in 2017. So that's November 2nd. On November 2nd, his attorneys tell the National Archives, which is the correct course of action. National Archive houses all of these documents. On November 4th, the National Archives IG reaches out and informs the DOJ about these documents being found. Publicly, the DOJ does nothing. Maybe they might have been doing things independently in the background. We don't know. They do nothing publicly, which is the correct decision. They shouldn't be doing this stuff publicly. They should be investigating these things privately. The DOJ should be doing their investigations in private. They should not be making political decisions public. So nothing happens for a while. December 20th. President Biden's attorney found a small number of documents with classified markings. We don't know what a small number is. They never tell us. Small number. Nothing happens for a while. That leaks out shortly after Christmas. On January 11th, attorneys find another tranche of classified documents in the president's garage. Personal garage in Wilmington, Delaware. January 12th, they find more documents in the president's garage in his house in Wilmington, Delaware, with classified markings on them. Also, on January 12th, A.G. Garland appoints Robert Hur to be the special counsel leading the Biden investigation into classified documents. And this is really something he didn't have a choice in, and we'll get to this in a minute. He had no choice. Who is Robert Hur? Robert Hur was part of the special counsel investigation with Robert Mueller, and then after that was completed, Donald Trump appointed Robert Hur, and he got through the Senate confirmation to be the U.S. Attorney for Maryland. So he's a Trump appointee. January 14th, we find 5 more pages of classified documents in President Biden's home. January 21st, the DOJ, in a search of his home, President Biden's home, finds more classified documents in this search at the president's home. All right. So all of this is going on, and this is a very similar case to what led to the raid of Donald Trump's home, the resort Mar-a-Lago in Florida. And so going back a little bit, on November 18th, Attorney General Garland appoints a special counsel to investigate Trump. And now this isn't just the classified documents investigation. These are all the investigation. It's the J6 investigation, January 6th investigation. It is the fake elector investigation in which Trump tried to get people in Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania to send a second slate of electors because he's lying about the election being stolen. So there's this special counsel out there. And here's the interesting interesting information about this. This is November 18th. November 18th. If we go back to the beginning of this video, that's 16 days after these documents are found by the National Archives, and 14 days after DOJ is informed by the National Archives about these classified documents found at a partisan think tank. 14 days. Nothing happens, and then they put this special counsel in for Trump. Now, really had to. Donald Trump announced for president, and one of the reasons he announced for president so early was to kind of make the DOJ investigations into him look political. It's not going to work. But let's make a difference. Let's differentiate these, because there are differences here in the Biden investigation and the Trump investigation. Very clear differences. One, the president's team is cooperating with the DOJ. Donald Trump's team wasn't. Donald Trump had ignored subpoenas. Donald Trump's lawyer had provided some documents and had signed off that they had all documents there. They didn't. Cooperation matters when we're talking about, what happens here. Another thing is, one of the main reasons Donald Trump wants to be president of the United States. You can't. There's from 1974, a memo from the DOJ saying you can't prosecute a sitting president. It's one of the main reasons Donald Trump wants to run for president, so he's immune from prosecution. Joe Biden can't be prosecuted for this if there's a crime. Can't be prosecuted. He can be prosecuted in the court of public opinion. But going back to this November 2nd day, and I brought up 6 days before the midterms. Why does this matter? One of the big points that President Biden and Democrats were making was that you can't trust Republicans and that they're all MAGA, and Trump was flouting these classified documents. If this comes out, and Biden's personal attorneys knew, there's no way you can convince me that Biden's personal attorneys found these documents at his personal think tank and didn't inform him. So he had to have known. And they don't say anything. Why? Because it muddies the water and it makes people go, oh, this argument you're making about this ultra MAGA stuff, it's not as important because you're doing some of this nonsense too. Maybe independents flip to Republicans. Maybe some progressives and liberals decide to stay home. Maybe some independents decide, hey, I don't know who to vote for in this thing. I'm going to stay out of it. And they stay home. And all of that leads to a bigger Republican wave, which was expected, which never came to fruition. So that all leads into them hiding this information. And they know that if this gets out before the midterms, this is going to hurt them. So they withhold the information from the public. This is supposed to be the person who ran for president in 2020, promising transparency. He ran for president in 2020, promising to reinstate confidence in the presidency and into U.S. institutions. Well, this sure as heck isn't how you do it. And they found in the January 21st DOJ search, they found classified documents from when he was a United States Senator. So this guy's never, ever taken care of classified documents. Now, part of the problem he has is he did a 60 minutes interview in the fall to criticize Donald Trump's handling of classified information, and he called it irresponsible. Well, now here you are. And now all your people got to go out there and defend you. And now you got to go out and be like, oh, well, I wasn't being irresponsible. I wasn't being irresponsible, but he certainly was. So, I mean, you got the hypocrite tag all over him now. And there's no way to get it off. There just isn't a way to get it off. So he just kind of has to ride it out. And it's really not going to work. We saw his approval ratings rising after the midterms. They have taken a hit now. There is this clip of him where he's at a press conference, and Peter Ducey, the White House reporter for Fox News, asks him how could he do this, and how could he store classified information in his garage next to his Corvette. And he seriously looks at the reporter, at Peter Ducey, and in all seriousness, he goes, "My garage was locked." It was locked? All right, no problem. Oh, seriously? Like, you mean to tell me this locked garage is somehow safe to whole house classified information? Like, I mean, at this point, like, it's hard to expect anything else from the president because he's clearly mentally not there. But this is obviously a problem for him, and it's not going to be a legal threat, but it is a political threat. There are some interesting conspiracies out there that a lot of this drip is coming from Democrats who don't want Joe Biden to be the Democrat nominee in 2024. I personally don't buy into that because Democrats don't have a better choice. Who are they going to put Vice President Harris up? I mean, that's Hillary Clinton 2.0. She's got no personality. She's incredibly unlikable. She's got this laugh that just nails on a chalkboard. Biden's what they got. They're going to, seriously, we're going to put up Gavin Newsom, governor of California? Oh, man. Oof. They don't have much else. So I don't much buy into that, but Crystal Ball, who does Breaking Points on here on YouTube, says about these two classified documents, one's from Trump and one from Biden. She makes the same differentiation that I do. One is cooperating, the other one isn't. But she is right. She has a quote here: "The core of the misdeeds are the same," and that's true. The core is the same. Classified documents weren't handled correctly, and I will caution House Republicans from going overboard. We have Mallory Taylor Greene already talking about impeachment, which she's been talking about impeachment since the day he got inaugurated, but we have a very slim majority in the House of Representatives and a minority in the U.S. Senate. We cannot overreach here. Let's spotlight this. Let's put this in the press. Let's put it out there. Let's investigate the heck out of this. Let's let Robert Hur do his job and see what he comes out with his special counsel investigation. And when he's done, let's bring him in front of the Judiciary Committee and let Jim Jordan, Republicans, grill him. Let's put him in front of the Oversight Committee and let James Comer and Republicans grill him. But don't overreach. Right now, the press is pushing pretty hard on him, which is obviously incredibly unusual for the press to come after a Democrat. So let's let this ride for him right now. Other than that, there's not much to go off of. We kind of have to wait and see. But right now, we have these parallel investigations, and they're very similar outside of the cooperation, which Donald Trump was not cooperating and Biden is. But we need to, on a results-based thing. What we need to do is figure out how we can legislatively force better classified handling of classified documents. It's hard. It's a hard problem to solve because the president has ultimate authority. And about this one last thing, the Trump people and Trump supporters are saying, oh, on his issues with classified documents, he can declassify anything he wants, and Vice President Biden and Senator Biden couldn't do, which is true, but he can't magically think he's going to declassify information and then it's declassified. He can't tell his housekeeper, hey, I'm declassifying this document. And anybody who thinks he can do that, you have to think, why are these documents classified? A lot of times they're classified because they have some CIA name or a method of how they do these undercover operations. If you are going to declassify something like that, you need to be able to inform the person. Could you imagine if President Biden, declassified a document and didn't tell some CIA worker in the Middle East, and that Middle East person died, how up in arms Republicans would be? You can't do that. So there is a process. You have to tell the White House counsel. The White House counsel goes through this. They inform the agency, and the agency can go through and look, are there anybody who could be in danger, and they can go ahead and go about this. The president absolutely can declassify anything he wants. But he can't just think it. That's not real. And a key also to these are the documents that were found in his home, in President Biden's home, and in his think tank pertain to Ukraine, which is policy that he was in charge of. That's also in the Hunter Biden stuff, obviously with Burisma, which nobody should forget because that's corrupt. Even if it's not illegal, it's corruption out the wazoo. Iran, dealing with the Iran deal, they're trying to become a nuclear power. And the UK, which is a little less. There probably isn't all that much information we have to worry about with the UK. But, we'll get more information on these when we come forward. Unless something breaks, my next show, I am going to rewind the clock. And I'm going to go back and talk about the midterms and what happened. I'll break down some big results, why some of it happened, some interesting results that don't necessarily make sense from a just chronological order, from a political sense. They just didn't. So that'll be my next show, barring some breaking news. So until then, I appreciate you listening. Thanks for coming through. I'll talk to you then.